Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantarashim Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shishiguru and Shiguranga. Vivo, can you bring the battery for the thing?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 68, text number 40. Hold on. What is it again? 40, 43? Ah, okay. Text number 45 and 46. Stityupati apa Stityupatyapajanantvam Ekohetur nirasraya Lokam kridanakam isha Kridataste vadantihi Stityupatyapajanam cha tvam Eko hetur nirasraja Lokam kridanakam isha Kridataste vadantihi Stityupatyapayanam tvam Eko hetur nirasraja Lokan kridanakam isha kridataste vadantihi. Please chant. Sthiti of maintenance, utpatti, creation, apayanam, and destruction, tvam, you, ekaha, alone, hetuhu, the cause, nirasrajaha, without any other basis, lokam, the worlds, kridanakam, playthings, isha, O Lord, kridataha, who are playing, te, your, badanti, they say, he, indeed. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You alone cause the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the cosmos. And you, there is no, and of you there is no prior cause. Indeed, O Lord, authorities say that the worlds are mere playthings for you as you perform your pastimes. Text number 45. Twan eva murdi ninanan, Twan eva murdidam anantalilaya, Bhumandalam bivarshi sahasra murdam, Ante chajaswatmanirudha vishwa, Sheshe dvitija parisisyamana. Translation, O unlimited one of 1,000 heads, as your pastime, you carry this earthly globe upon your heads. At the time of annihilation, you withdraw the entire universe within your body and, remaining all alone, lie down to rest. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Romapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. There's purpose given by our Vaishnavacharyas. I will read those. Text number 44. Srila Jiva Goswami comments, this verse shows how, as the Supreme Lord, he is non-different from the Purusha known as Sankarshan, who manifests the universe. Maintenance, Titi, is mentioned first since they wanted Balaram to protect them. Everything depends only on you, and you have no dependence on us. The worlds are your playing things. The Lord has pastimes similar to the activities of the world. In Narayana Dhyatma, it is said, quote, the creation of the Lord does not depend on a goal. He does this simply out of bliss, like the dancing of a madman. Because everything is caused by your will, you must have all knowledge. Since we're engaged as playing things by you, do as you wish. Thus, you should forgive us for our faults since we're foolish. Another version has Nirasrajaha, since you depend only on your devotees. Acts like creation are only incidental for you, thus you engage others in creation, etc. And in text number 16 and 46, Srila Jiva Goswami also comments, protection is your main business because you hold up the earth by your great mercy in your specialized expansion, O unlimited one. Therefore, you can have thousands of heads. Therefore, with even one of your heads, you can support the whole world. Even during destruction, you do not deviate from maintaining everything. During the daily destructions after Brahma's day, the universe remains protected with your form as Garbhodakshai. You lie down with no one else except you in the three worlds at this time. It's very chosen prayers given by the Kauravas. In one sense, these are standard prayers that you hear consistently when realized persons who have received these very advanced souls who have received a full revelation of the absolute truth, they address the Lord in such a way. We have it over and over. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva, who is explained, compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam after the maturity of his meditation as directed by his spiritual master Narada Muni. Srila Vyasadeva was able, after engaging in meditation, in deep meditation, he was able to see the absolute truth. The term that is used in the Bhagavad Gita is Tattvadarsha. So he was able to see Lord Krishna in his position and also his energies behind him. So he begins the Bhagavatam by saying something very similar. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He acknowledged Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jammadhyasya Yathombayat. That he is the origin of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the whole world. similar prayers. Itarastas chatersu avigyashvara. He is independent, fully cognizant and independent. So he's not dependent, similar to here. The Kauravas are addressing Lord Balaram in a similar manner. And we hear the same prayers similarly performed by so many other great personalities. Dhruva Maharaj, eh, Prahlad Maharaj, so many of these great personalities, when they offer prayers to the Lord, they acknowledge first that the Vedas personify, Lord Brahma, Indra, they all address the Lord in his position as the supreme controller and the supreme creator, the creator and the maintainer of the whole. So is the natural prayers that comes when someone have this revelation of the absolute truth. And in general, the revelations, of this, of being able to understand that you're in the presence of the supreme personality of Godhead, is something that is considered again that you become a tattvadarshi, someone who have full understanding of the absolute truth. So naturally, a tattvadarshi is a realized soul. And not anyone have that type of realization. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. It's very rare. Sahasresu, what is it, how does it go? Sahasresu. Manushyanam sahasresu. Out of many thousands of men, hardly one endeavors to achieve perfection, to achieve self-realization. And out of the many that are able to achieve this self-realization, hardly one knows me in truth. This tattva, the tattva of the Lord, hardly one knows him. Krishna explains what is this tattva that he's referring to. And he says that anyone who have this type of tattva, who understand him in truth, is someone who have achieved liberation from this material world. Jamma karma chame divyan evan yo veti tattvataha. When someone understands Krishna's appearance and activities in this material world in truth, then tyakta deham punarjama. No more birth in this material world. So that is the position of a tattvadarshi. And we can assume right here that after such a display of power akin to Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, really think about it. Krishna lifted the great mountain of Govardhan Hill like a simple plaything. It is explained that it was like a child picking up a mushroom. As simple as that. No effort. Such a display of great power. Krishna's by lifting Govardhan Hill, and by such a display of inconceivable power, then Lord Indra came to his senses and was able by such display of power understand that this is only possible by the personality of Godhead. It's only possible by the personality of Godhead. No man of demigod are able to do such a feat. Now, Lord Balaram is displaying something as powerful as lifting of Govardhan Hill. Think about it. The capital of the world was Hastinapura. It was the city of the emperors of the whole world. Massive city with palaces and residence and gardens, everything there, as is described, these Vedic kingdoms and cities. Massive. And there's Lord Balaram with his plow, uh, dragging this city to drown the whole thing in the Ganges. It is explained that he expanded his plow to be able to perform that task. Now, just imagine. It's like you can imagine, you cannot picture that whole thing. How do you do that? I mean, what kind of instrument you need to drag, Chicago into the lake? What do you need? I mean, it's unimaginable. It's inconceivable. The powers is inconceivable, and it's explained that he, with his plow, hit the earth, and by hitting the earth, the whole city became detached from the earth, and then boop, grab the city with whatever he grabbed it, and then drag it. And as he dragging, the whole thing is just like like this massive earthquake, and it's panic. As you see that, I mean, I don't know if you ever been in an earthquake, but it's really bewildering because everything is just moving like this. Now imagine it's not only moving like this, but it's moving and moving, and it's moving, and then towards the river, the Ganges, who has been ordered drown the whole thing, destroy it. So now you imagine, a river that is about to, it have to span to accommodate a full city. So it's like going into an ocean or something like that. It's an inconceivable description. It's an inconceivable display of power. Inconceivable. When people who are have no faith, who are duskritinas, hear about these things, they go in disbelief. It's mythology. How how can you believe this type of thing? I'm going through the book written by Her Grace Vishaka Prabhu, in which she described her coming to surrender to Srila Prabhupada. A intellectual, agnostic person, an artist. And when she met Srila Prabhupada, she was touched by Srila Prabhupada. But there was one thing that initially brought her to Krishna consciousness, and one of the things, she was doing, she was a journal, she was doing photographic journalism. So she was asked to do something about these Hare Krishnas. That's before she met Srila Prabhupada. So part of her work was to, what is the Hare Krishnas about? So she went to stay in the Brooklyn Temple, Henry Street, for a couple of weeks. She said, the experience was like crazy. She lost like 10 pounds, She couldn't eat in the place, and then sleeping in the floor. I mean, it was like the whole experience was not very good, but she went for it. But the thing that really went like, these people are crazy, is when she heard that their God lifted a mountain with a pinky finger. It's impossible. I mean, what are they talking about? And then she went back to the place, where the journalists, that they were assigning the job, and they were laughing about this. This is what these people are talking about. This is what they believe, that God has the form of a little boy, and he lifted a mountain with a little finger. Impossible. But devotees just have full faith on that. We know the story of the cobbler, and when he heard that Krishna is passing an elephant through the eye of a needle, oh, how wonderful is Krishna! Like that. So, devotees, we accept the inconceivable powers of the Lord. He can do anything. So, in this situation, we don't see mythology, we see history. And we see the great display of power of the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Balaram, and revealing his powers to the Kauravas, who have, out of sheer ignorance, have just insulted him and disregard his order and his directions. So the Lord revealed all his opulence, his power. After such revelation, then naturally, then you, what else? I mean, imagine if you're able to witness something like that. What else would you do but to surrender to Krishna? Yes, Krishna explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, Ham Sarvasya Prabhavo. When one comes in to have that type of darshan of the inconceivable powers of the personality of Godhead from whom everything emanates, then naturally one submits oneself to, surrenders to. And this is the case with the Kauravas. It was the same case with Indra. It was the same case with so many others that were able to witness that great power of the Lord. Kaliya. So now, very beautiful chosen prayers are given to Lord Balaram and plead to actually forgive for one's ignorance and offenses, addressing the Lord in such a way with humility, as it was pointed out yesterday in the class. You come with humility and you submit yourself, understanding the position of supremacy of the great personality who was in front of you, Lord Balaram. It's natural. Now, the question here is what happened afterwards. That's what I was thinking right now. Like yesterday, we were talking about that a little bit in the class. What happened after receiving such revelation and being able to express and direct these chosen prayers towards the Lord, why do you fall again into doing the same thing? They disregarded Krishna. And not only that, that was much later, but they continue, the Kauravas continue on this path of, um, again, disregarding, the devotees of Krishna, the Pandavas, and continue on these uh, activities that were definitely and obviously demoniac. They were not upholding Dharma. They were devious, and they were actually, plainly demoniac, scheming, to actually cheat and destroy. So how is it possible? How is it possible? After having such revelation, as a group, the leaders of this, the Kauravas, how is it possible? The disrobing, the attempt to take the kingdom from the Pandavas by cheating them and then insulting his wife, their wife, and then all kinds of things that led ultimately to the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And we see prior to the battlefield of Kurukshetra how they disregard Krishna. When Krishna came as the Shanti Dut, the messenger of peace. And Krishna's proposal at that time was so like, wow, what a concession. He's saying, just keep the kingdom, even keep Indraprastha. Just give them 5 villages to each of the Pandavas. 5 villages. That was Krishna's proposal to the Kauravas. To avoid this war, just do like that. 5 villages. What is 5 villages in the world? And Duryodhan disregarded Krishna and then insulted him. And not only insulted him, but direct his army to arrest Krishna, which is something that is horrifying from the Kshatriya, Dharma. You don't do that to a messenger or, a diplomat. You don't do that. You have to respect, you know. And then Krishna showed his universal form. He displayed again. It was a partial universal form, but he displayed his power. It's like what these puny things are gonna do. And even then, only at that time, grandfather Bhishma and Dronacharya were the only ones who were able to see Krishna's manifestation of universal form. The other ones were dazzled by this uh, effulgence. and they couldn't see anything. So, how is it possible? How is it possible that these things happen? That for someone who have taken darshan of the absolute truth with his power of manifestation are forgetful or forgets. Something similar, not exactly the same, but very similar in one sense, happens with Indra. We hear that. We know that after the lifting of Govardhan Hill, and as Indra surrendered to Lord Krishna, and we know that he worshipped Krishna as a personality of Godhead, and he performed this Abhishek to Lord Krishna in Govardhan by Govinda Kun, and the name was given to Krishna at that time of Govinda. He surrenders and he acknowledged Krishna as one of the things that he mentions to Krishna is that he have rescued him before, and when he took his appearance as his younger brother, the son of Aditi, as Vamanadev. So, although the personality of Godhead, you know, we have this uh, connection in which, you know, he is appearing in his sin family. So he's acknowledging, he surrenders to Krishna. But then we hear a little later when Krishna, uh, even after he comes to Krishna and beg Krishna to help the heavenly kingdom because this huge demon, Narakasura, has come and forcibly stolen some very important things from the heavenly kingdom. He have stolen these very powerful, transcendentally powerful earrings that were a symbol of the mother of the demigods. And he have stolen, you know, some playground, the important playground from the demigods, and the important symbols of the demigod Varuna, an umbrella, and other things. You know, he created a whole chaotic thing that so Lord Indra came and asked Lord Krishna to please help him by killing this demon. And Krishna did that. He killed the demon, took all the things that the demon had stole, went back to the heavenly planets, and delivered all these things to Indra and to demigods. At that time, he was with one of his queens, Satyabhama, and Satyabhama in the heavenly region, she had a desire for a parijata tree. And Krishna took that parijata tree, but Indra fought him. Now you tell me, you know, if your worshipable Lord comes to you and tells you, I would like to have this, and you naturally will think that the devotee immediately, whatever, my Lord, is yours. Whatever I have is yours. That's a devotee. A devotee understands the Ishavasya principle. What is the Ishavasya principle? That the Lord is the owner of everything. I'm just serving by taking the responsibility on your behalf of these things. So one naturally will think, Indra, yes, my lord, please, actually, let me take it for you. But that's not what Indra did. So how and why? It's explained that, again, somehow or other, what power and what this misidentification, the false ego, as long as the false ego is present in some amount, then you're in danger as a devotee. Anytime we can be overcome by the influence of the false ego. So, as long as the false ego is not completely gone, then you can still be victimized by that. So, in one sense, one can come to understand that in certain circumstances, even if you have, it's so powerful, the false ego, that, even by the arrangement of the Lord, we can actually directly witness the power of the personality of Godhead and being in the presence of the greatness of the personality of Godhead and being aware of that. If you're not free from the false ego, then you can fall down. So, in one sense, at times it's possible that someone who is not perfectly pure and free from the false ego can have this type of revelation. And in one sense, Krishna was present in this world and Krishna was performing all those pastimes. People knew about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. It was not something that was only an obscure thing that was only happening in Vrindavan and no one knows about it. Rukmini was able to hear about Krishna's pastimes. And so if Rukmini heard about Krishna's pastimes in a very distant kingdom, it means that some other people will hear about Krishna. So, so Krishna was present, displaying all his wonderful pastimes and powers. And not everybody, even in the presence of Krishna, were able to recognize and see. So it is something that is possible that is happening. And it's quite sobering in one sense. Indra forgot. Indra forgot. And there's something very interesting that analyzes a little deeper this situation with Indra and the Parijata tree. This, how it happens, and Indra's rational. It is narrated in the Harivansa, and I'm going to read it for you because it's interesting. I mean, in one sense, Indra is an established devotee of the Lord that is is a Mishra Bhakta because it's still holding a particular desire within this material world. It's not a pure devotee. It's not a Uttama Bhakta, but it's a Mishra Bhakta. But nevertheless, a very important, responsible devotee of the Lord who have a very responsible post in the structure that the Lord established for mankind. And so a little different than this situation with the Kauravas, because the Kauravas are not only Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, who were blind and completely overwhelmed by their ambitions. that actually nothing else will penetrate, nothing else will change. It doesn't matter. So Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they will never surrender to Krishna. I mean, eventually Dhritarashtra, by the help of Vidura, was able to. But Duryodhana, it was impossible for him. He was on the Duskritina type of bracket. But the Kauravas, we were talking about this week. Bhakta Vibhu Prabhu was explaining about that. We have Bhishma, we have Vidura, we have Dronacharya, Kripacharya. We have all kinds of personalities who were par, you know. Of course, Dronacharya and Kripacharya were just the priests, but Vidura and Bhishma, they were part of the Kauravas. So it's not only, and with that, there was a whole array of personalities. So, it's not explained who insulted and who is offering prayers. So there's a part of the whole group that are very enlightened and very wise, and there's another part that are very fallen and full of ambitions and bad character. So, how is it moving? Who's speaking? Who's coming to these realizations? Who is um, um, who is really having a proper understanding? We know that Duryodhana definitely not. We have the situation with Duryodhana was always calculating what's beneficial for him. So when Krishna arrived in Hastinapura, he decided he is going to sway Krishna to favor him by displaying, his so-called hospitality. So he arranged, for this great party for Krishna to receive him with a royal reception, you know, acknowledging Krishna's position and all that. But it's false. There was no devotion in there. There was no connection with Krishna's appreciation. And then Krishna rejected him. He went to the house of Vidura. And in the house of Vidura, he accepted a very simple, it was, like a titi. He just came and knocked, hey, I'm here. And then they were not prepared. So there's a wife, bringing bananas, and then they were in such an ecstasy, the story, here's the banana and then throwing the banana and giving the peel, and Krishna there is eating peel that is offering with love. So it's a different thing, you know. It's a more complex situation with the Kauravas. But with Indra, it's a one-on-one. And Indra has just received, and it goes into this position of seeing Krishna as his protector. But when it comes to the moment, to something that uh, challenge his concept of himself, then forgets. And how is that possible? How is that possible? But it happens. And that thing just tells us how powerful the influence of the false ego is. That we will forget. We will forget. So we cannot be ever confident of, I'm a devotee. There's a situation of even Srila Prabhupada. We remember that when the devotee hears Srila Prabhupada praying to the deities, and the devotee asks him, I think it was Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I can't remember who, but Srila Prabhupada, what are you praying? And Prabhupada said, I'm praying to Krishna to protect me so I won't fall down. Prabhupada. So the devotee was surprised. Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee. And in the scripture says that the pure devotee never falls down. You know. And Prabhupada even said that, even if he's in a room full of naked women, he won't be disturbed. A pure devotee never falls. Why? How you explain that? And Prabhupada says the reason he doesn't fall down, a devotee, pure devotee, doesn't fall down, is because he's always praying for Krishna's protection. So you never take for granted, you know, the power of Krishna's material potency. We never take it for granted. When we become confident, finish. So this is very sobering lesson. So I read this and I finish the class from the Harivansa. This is Lord Indra's, how he's going through this whole thing with the Parijata tree, with not so long ago, he was able to witness, several years. Krishna was 7 years, and now this is during Dwarka time, much later. So a demigod understanding and having witnessed Krishna's supreme power and coming to understanding he is the supreme personality of Godhead. And even after receiving the supreme personality of Godhead protection, when the supreme personality of Godhead asked for something that was very dear to him, he refused. Okay, how that happened? Let's see. This is from the Harivansa. So, in the story, it goes like this. Sri Krishna, in the heavenly planets, he asked Narada to convey to Indra about his desire for the Parijata tree. We know the story that Satyabhama was jealous of Rukmini, who had just a flower, a Parijata flower, that she would put in her hair that Krishna brought for her. So Satyabhama says, no, I'm supposed to be the favorite of your queens. You have told me that. So I just, I should have also a Parijata flower. What to speak of a Parijata flower? I want the Parijata tree. So Krishna say, oh, okay, we'll take care of that. So, so the opportunity came, you know, Satyabhama was with Krishna during the killing of Narakasura, and then goes to the heavenly planets. In the kingdom of Indra, she sees the Parijata tree. And then reminds Krishna, and Krishna, as a good husband, I promise that, yes, I want the Parijata tree. Narada, he says to Lord Krishna, oh, I don't think Indra is going to part for the Parijata tree so easily, because Sachi, his wife, is very attached to the Parijata tree. So it's not going to be a simple thing. Narada explains like that. So, Harivansa, the one with thousand eyes, Indra, will not give you the Parijata tree. What I say is the truth. That best tree is always with Goddess Sachi, Krishna. That tree provides all to Indra, having great splendor. So Narada also explained how Indra refused to give the Parijata tree even to Shiva, Lord Shiva, who considering Sachi's fondness, let it remain with Indra. So Narada goes and nevertheless convey to Indra Krishna's desire. And Indra, acknowledging Krishna as his younger brother, Vamanadev, refuses to do that. And he follows these reasons. So here's his reason. First reason. Brahmaji and the Prajapatis ordain different types of pleasure for different lokas, where Parijata was for Swarga, so not for the earth, is for the heavens. The great soul Brahmana, along with his sons and grandsons, made procedures for all things for people in the world for with firmness. If I deviate from the route prescribed by Prajapati, the Lord, the one with intellect, the Prajapati, may have pronounced a curse hearing about this. If we ourselves break our code of conduct, without doubt, the Daitas and others on their side will definitely break it. Lord Brahma himself has specified the things to be enjoyed by men. Let my brother be happy with them, relishing the change of time. O Lord, whatever I have in this heaven, all that can be used by Krishna when he returns to heaven. So he's rationalizing, you know, this parayata, it has been ordained that is for the heavens, not for earth. So if Krishna wants to enjoy the parayata, when he comes back to heaven, he can do like that. It won't be a breach of how things have been ordered. Now, what's the problem here? He is seeing Krishna not as a position of the supreme controller, the supreme Lord, the owner of everything. He is not understanding the Ishavasya principle, right? Who is overcome? What is the Ishavasya principle is considered um, as uh, there's nations and there's knowledge, you know. So transcendental knowledge. And the other thing, the contrary is nations, is avigya. Avigya. So he is overcome by that. Okay. Number two, he feared if the Parijata is taken to earth, people will stop worshiping him through yagyas to reach heaven. So now, if the Parijata tree is there, the Parijata tree will fulfill desires. So you don't need to offer yagyas to Indra. So it's going to disrupt the order of things, you know, the system that Krishna has established as the yagya, the principle of yagya. So it's rationalizing who is going to worship me now for these things. The whole system will be disrupted. Oh, Narada, if men enjoy the benefit of the parijata on earth, there will not be any difference between devas and men. Oh, the one with wealth of penance, in heaven, parijata is the best of jewels. In the world of all men will become similar to devas. Men will not do sacrifices if they get the benefits of heavens on earth. If they become similar to devas, they will not offer what is due. And then the primary issue, this is the third one, is when Nara tells that Krishna will take the parijata even if he had to fight with Indra. Indra, though his younger brother, was challenging him, it became an ego issue. Remember all past insults. Now, here's the crunch. It's about ego. So, Krishna is claiming his property. And if Indra doesn't align with that, because to go against Krishna is against the principles of religion. So then he's going to have to fight him. Now, Indra, having this challenge, then what really is there comes, which is the false ego. Ah, now I'm remembering that in the past, my younger brother, now he's not seeing Krishna as the controller. My position as elder brother should be that, he should submit to my directions. So now he's insulting me like he have done before. If Keshava does not like does like this to me, his elder brother, who is faultless, oh, the one with wealth of penances, because this is addressing Narada. What can be done now? Oh Narada, Krishna has done many things against me before. Considering that he is my brother, I always suffer all those. Before this, he drove the chariot of Arjuna in the Kandava forest and blocked my clouds, which were extinguished in the blazing fire. Lifting over the Govardhan mountain up, he did what was not liked by me. When I sought his help in slaying Vitra, he said that he was equal to all beings. He did not offer his help. What is the use of speaking more? Let it happen what may. I have no use of quarrel between brothers. O Brahmin, it is unfortunate that he is challenging me in this way. O Brahmin, Vishnu, conquered by his wife, is challenging me in this way. If you desire for battle, you may come. I can bear with what you desire. Oh, then one conquered by wife. You may just strike in the beginning. If you strike me, O Keshava, I should strike back according to my power. Alas, you are challenging me. You are challenging my love. It will be good if you do not go against me. O best of sages, I will not give the parijata till I am defeated by the discus wielder in the battle. Oh, the one with wealth of penance, that younger brother is calling me, the elder brother for battle. For what purpose I'm bearing with that Hari who is conquered by woman? So anyway, it goes on, but you got the idea. False ego and forgets. And then with false ego, you can recognize Krishna. You forget. You forget everything. It's quite something. And it's quite like, boof, wow. How? How is it possible? So it's a sovereign thing, and we see, stories of great devotees who lost, their devotional path. I remember, finish with this, it's still a past time, but um, being in New York as a young devotee in the streets, we were always in the street doing Harinam. And sometimes you see all Prabhupada disciples. So there one time that I saw this famous disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who was one of the big book distributors in during Prabhupada's time. and he was a Swami too. His name is uh, Pitri Swami. He was big, one of the big book distributors in Japan and like that, American. And I saw him in the East Village. This guy with super long hair and dressed like a biker, one of those Hell Angel bikers, all leather and smoking. So we come across with him, and then uh, one devotee recognized him and say, "Oh, that's Peter Putra." And then you know he acknowledged us by saying some Hare Krishna, and then continue like that. How's it possible? But it happens. I stop here. Any comments or questions? Yes. You put the battery? Ashutosh.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class. I was just contemplating, like, as far as I know, Lord Balram taught Duryodhan club fighting, and he had even with all this pastime you were explaining, like they surrender, then again they were not, like, all their activities are demonic. So what I have heard is like Lord Balram had a softer side for Duryodhan during Mahabharata. So how do we understand that with all this happening, where Duryodhan is not surrendered to Krishna, he's sending army to when he comes as a peace messenger, and Duryodhan want to bind Krishna. So how do we reconcile this fact that Lord Balram were like having a softer side for Duryodhan?
Yeah, it's a similar thing in one sense because Lord um, Duryodhan is explained that there is some affection that he have for Lord Balaram. Is is narrated in the past time when they heard that Balaram was there. He just arrived to the city. They went with great happiness to receive him. And one of the things that is explained of that relationship is that it's actually is in the Mahabharata. They say that Duryodhan was calculating too that if he comes close to Balaram, he wanted to learn, but he was in competition with Bhima, and Bhima was also a disciple of Lord Balaram. Both of them were learning the you know the warfare art, especially with the mace, and but Duryodhan became very intent to be the best disciple. And he became the best disciple, the favorite disciple of Lord Balaram by, the way he follows, the way he serves. He was the best. Just as Arjuna was the best disciple of Dronacharya, uh, Duryodhan became the best disciple of Lord Balaram. And in that relationship, there was that connection of guru and disciple. But again, the power of the ambition and the desires of, you know, as long as it's used, is this relation. The relationship for Duryodhan perspective, it was, purposely for being up the Pandavas. His whole His whole thing was the ambition that he had to eliminate, and he needed to eliminate the Pandavas. So everything was calculated on that. So now the question is, Lord Balaram is omniscient. He have to know that. But then we know that Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna had a plan. And there's a whole things that needs to pass, in the past. And so Lord Krishna, it was all is organized like that. So everything was going to be concluded with the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Everything had to go through all that arch. And Lord Balaram was perfectly in tune because, Lord Balaram, as he said, he could have at that moment get rid of all the Kauravas. Finish. That indeed was already ordained. My wife and I were talking yesterday about, that when Krishna shows the universal form to Arjuna, and Arjuna saw that all the soldiers, all the Kauravas were being already destroyed. They were already dead. He saw that they were rushing into the mouth of the universal form and being crushed. All Bhishma, Dronacharya, everyone. Jai Shri Kishore Kishore. So they already dead. It's already happened. So Arjuna, you could be an instrument for me or not, but with you or without you, it's already done. So same thing, just go back in time. Same with Balaram. This is Krishna's arrangement, and Balaram is perfectly in tune that. So therefore, Balaram didn't destroy them because maybe Bhishma, maybe Vidura, they understood throughout, and they offering prayers to try to save, the Kauravas. But Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, Dushashan, and all their associates, they nothing is penetrating. So, Lord Balaram could have destroyed them, eliminate them. But no, that's not Krishna's plan. So that's the part why Lord Balaram is, necessarily open to that. Yes, bro.
It's a nice class. It is very enlightening. I will just comment, like Indra is rejected. If he asked to give Parijata tree by Lord Krishna, and at the same time, Indra's name is also mentioned many times in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Like Ekesha Sakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyam Vakulam
Yeah.
Loke Mriyanti. So it is so inconceivable, like how Lord Balram pulled entire city with his plow. At the same time, this pastime is also so inconceivable. Like few years ago, as you mentioned in the class, Lord Krishna humbled Indra, Govardhan Lila pastime, and after many years, again Krishna came to ask Parijata tree. Again he's rejecting. Again he's fighting. He knows that this is going to be a war. But this is just a comment. Like we cannot understand the inconceivable pastime of Lord Krishna. Again he favors Indra.
Yeah. 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 I think we have to be, there's a difference of, say, Arjuna becoming overwhelmed or cover, you know, and Indra, Arjuna is an eternal associate of the Lord, pure, you know, and Indra is a devotee, but is mixed. So, so it's explained that someone like Arjuna cannot become overwhelmed by ignorance. He's Gudakesh. He is not overcome by that. But nevertheless, it happened. But when that happened, is explained. It's Krishna induced that. sort of forgetfulness. With devotees that are afflicted by the false ego, then the Lord basically, when they're devotees like Indra, he just keeps slapping him, and exposing them, like that. But never, you never give up, like that. But with people that are demoniac, then they also become exposed, they also become chastised, but at the end, there's not necessarily a corrective thing. They actually got cast down to situations that are of punishment, a hellish situation. Krishna says in the Gita, you know. So there's subtle differences that we have to. That's what I was focusing, this presentation. But I should actually stop because it's late. We can keep discussing, tomorrow and the next. Thank you, everybody. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.